Well, let's go to game 2 then, because that was only game 1. Dignitas, however, did secure their chance to go to DreamHack now.
It's only a matter of seeding. I mean,
DreamHack.
yeah, they're top
Guaranteed.
4. Guaranteed top 4 in Europe, and that's the big news. So it obviously quite a bit in terms of seeding. You don't want to be near the bottom because you're going to have a very tough bracket to win DreamHack, but being near the top would be an excellent look for Dignitas.
Circa banned out by Dig again. Respect and adapting. Who went with the Camazotz last game? I don't think he played bad in that at all.
No, he played fine, but
well.
again, just not the big difference for me there. I think Dignitas felt comfortable grouping up because there wasn't enough AoE from NRG. This time around, I mean, even if something like a Poseidon for Yammyn, something along those lines that just has AoE damage that you can really punish multiple people for.
Fafnir banned out this time around by NRG. They don't want to give that away to Trixtank. They took it last time themselves, which worked out well for the time being. But Dignitas also respecting the fact that they don't want to first pick Nemesis.
No, I like this ban because, again, you don't want to first pick it, as you mentioned, but you also don't want to put it in Adapting's hands. With these games going later in Europe, and the late game being a little bit more meta on this side of the pond, Nemesis is one of the best picks in the game. I mean, you really can't contest that she's going to be very strong at basically every single game, with tanky targets all around the place right now, the Warriors being very, very strong, without Sunder being very relevant, and this late game, I mean, Nemesis is always going to be good.
Sol, however, has been really solid in game 1, so much so that it was banned to make sure that Dignitas couldn't have it. They will get it this time, though, but it gives NRG the chance for a support pick and another big pick. Chronos is the one they think is highly valued here.
Could be the Terra here as well for NRG. That made it all the way to last pick for Trixtank last time around, or Bellona and Osiris both open. It's going to be Bellona for Dimi.
Which means we may see Variety just take the opposite end of the spectrum and just take the Osiris. By opposite end, I mean the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I expect to see that Osiris is going to be for Variety. And no surprise that Dimi opts for the Bellona, because that's, when given the choice, NRG seemed to prefer to give Dimi that Bellona. And Dimi had a pretty solid showing in game 1, but when you are the initiator for your team and you've got a Nemesis on the other team, it's very difficult to stand up in that front line and survive, even in terms of getting that heal from the Bracer or the Erlong ultimate.
Had a feeling it would be Terra there for Trixtank. His god pool has been pretty slim this year. He's not been doing too much in terms of variety. He's been sticking to a handful of gods. Terra, one of them, alongside Geb, Fafnir, and Kepri. I guess are the other ones we've really seen him on.
What else does he need?
Ganesh.
Could be Ganesh, but if they're going to give him Terra and he's going to play well on it, may as well take it. I mean, you don't, in my mind, you don't have to prove that you have a big god pool until you need to prove you have a big god pool. You know what I mean? Whenever a team is focusing you out. Exactly. That's when you need to have 1 or 2 picks that you're comfortable with. You really only need to have a very small handful at a top tier level in order to be a competitive player.
Rama locked in again for Arkkyl. Not a real surprise there. NRG having a long, hard thing, because they're going to have to put something in the mid lane here that's going to be able to deal with Sol. What exactly does deal with Sol, if it is mid? It's
tough. I mean, Sol is just so safe in that mid lane, and also provides that burst damage come late game, the objective siege. You know, I think there's something, I don't really like the Poseidon, as I was talking about earlier. Poseidon, not a good matchup because of the slow immunity as well.
Right.
I think that we could see something like a Nox. I mean, Nox with some CC is very, very potent up against characters that rely on escapes, like Sol, like Terra, like Ram, but there isn't a whole lot quite yet there for NRG.
I was going to ask if we see Frey go back to the dual lane, or even Chronos go to the dual lane here and pull that Chronos in the mid lane again. Even without the Fafnir, I mean, it looks like Dignitas may suspect that could be a situation there. Could we see Chronos in the dual lane?
Sure. I mean, like I said, I think it's one of those characters that's a little bit undervalued right now. I still think he's probably a little bit better in mid overall, but I'm a little bit biased because I think Chronos is fun and I want to play him in mid, so I just want him to be in mid lane.
Raven, Sumukong, Kepri, Freya are the bans, and NRG will get the next pick option. More than likely, I'm expecting this could just be the support here, so the mid can get a bit more flexibility.
Yeah.
Ganesh is still available, as is Geb.
Yeah, Geb would be really strong here in my mind, really providing that shield for Camazotz as he's going up into the air. He comes down and all of a sudden could be in trouble. Give him the Geb shield and it's not as much of a worry.
Also, those knockups just disrupt so much. Knockup's definitely the best CC in the game,
Without
other than Death.
Is Death a CC?
Yeah, it is. It's a hard CC.
It's the hardest CC, I suppose.
That's correct.
Wow.
Dignitas then just need a jungler and a solo laner more than likely here. And there's the jungler with Susano slipping down and through. We don't see as much as we used to see of him, but he's still top tier.
Still absolutely one of the best assassins in the game, but he can have a little bit of a difficult matchup up against Camazotz because of that disjoint jump from the Camazotz. You're able to get over that wind siphon if you time it correctly. Pretty skill-dependent matchup there, but could see some outplay potential for adapting.
Tell me a little bit about why we saw them ban Sumukong Raven instead of Osiris. That's the one thing that surprised me more than anything else here. It feels like NRG want variety on Osiris.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was curious to me as well, and Variety says, all right, I'll take it. They're 5-0 with it so far.
Well, the Chronos pick I was right on too.
Yeah,
but it's still flexible because we could see emilitoo run that in the dual lane, or we could see Yammyn in the mid.
I'd expect this is going to be Chronos ADC. We saw Yammyn play the Cernunnos mid. The skin is for him. Like he played this god at Worlds and did so well that he got a skin.
I don't agree. I think it would be Cernunnos in mid. I expect. No, you're right. Yeah, I think Cernunnos mid because Cernunnos versus Sol in the matchup of wave clear is a little even. We're both wrong. No, we're not. We're right.
I'm right.
We're both right.
We're both right.
We're both right and both wrong.
We're just so used to being wrong that you expected us to be wrong, but we weren't this time.
That's a very good point. That means something's going to go wrong in this game. You know that. If the casters are right, something odd's going to happen. We're going to say something like, Raph is one of the safest players when he plays Geb and he's going to get first blooded. I've said it now and it's going to happen.
Well, there you go. How many gems is Dignitas throwing you under the table to get Raffer first blooded?
None, I never thought about that. God, I'm missing real income hours where I could be making plenty of money off these games if I just...
Caster curse people?
Just curse people consistently.
You're like a hitman for your caster curse?
That's a try. Trix is going to come mid lane with Zyrhoes, but look at cheeky old Dimi. We saw this earlier on, but there's a ward here, so they know Dimi's wrapping around potentially, and because of that, Dignitas aren't even really worried. They saw him step in the wall go towards speed. Instead, Dimi's going to have to just accept the elementals, or at least the babies of the elementals here, expecting to be aggressed on by the two men in his solo lane.
Now those two men are going to go into this right side jungle, have a couple options here. They want to go for the big fire elemental. That looks to be the call. Good decision to not try and invade on that right-hand side because with both Yammyn and adapting there, yeah, Dimi's going to be tied up for a little bit on that right-hand side, coming late to the wave, but you still don't want to take a 2v2 that it's going to turn into a 2v3.
And Raffer and emilitoo actually changed their mind about starting in the lane at all. They did their red, they did their purple. Now they're going to get the oracles too before even turning up at lane. This is what we started to see more and more as the season progresses. People not even taking on level 1 fights.
Variety and a bit of trouble on this right-hand side. Dimi could go for the slow, but now it's adapting, tagging up those minions, forcing the Aegis early on, but it's still Dignitas looking to fight.
I think Qvo just missed that dash a little bit too early to avoid the Aegis, otherwise it could have been a different story. Now it's a chance for, once again, NRG to get aggressive. Variety's the one getting low because of the lifesteal for adapting, and they turn it around. NRG get the first blood onto Variety, and Qvo is just gonna get away in time.
Shouts to Jetstream, man, one of the best escapes in the game, but again, it's Variety falling to that first blood, and that's just so many slows on the side of NRG in that level 2 fight. I mean, you've got a potent slow out of Dimi, you've got one out of adapting as well.
Love what Raph is
plenty
doing.
Of damage.
Love what Raph is doing. He's just trying to buy time for his boys to steal away the speed, and if he's going to get poked down, that's fine. It just means Trix and Zyrhoes can't contest, and now Zyrhoes gets pressured in mid, which keeps pressure on for the whole of NRG in the mid lane.
Already, NRG off to a pretty good start in this one. Not only getting that first blood, but the invade on the right side as well. Then it was NRG who got both buffs on that right-hand side on their side of the map. So now it's only one buff going Dignitas' way on the right-hand side.
I've missed those fights in solo lane, though. You know the 2v2 starts we used to see of jungler solos boxing it out, and the mistakes that you make in those lanes cause so many problems. And to be fair, Q and Variety probably haven't had as much experience working together in straight 2-on-2s in the solo at the start of the game at level 1 and 2 compared to that of Dimi and adapting.
I mean, how many jungle solos have had as much practice as Dimi and adapting in those sort of scenarios?
Nowadays, not many.
Yeah, not exactly. It's maybe weak in Cyclone Spin, though. They took a break from teaming together for a while.
But you don't really lose it, do you?
No, I suppose not. It's
you don't really lose it.
It's like riding a bike. You just get right back into it, and you know exactly what the other player is going to do at all times. Dimi, you try to get those fire elementals, but Dignitas was there in time to secure them away.
And that's the only lead right now. It's about 700 in favor of NRG because of the invades and the Gold Fury early on. Similar pace to game 1. Is this because the comps are similar, or are the comps like just setting up for this anyway?
I mean, it's a little bit similar. I mean, both teams, again, have strong late games. You're looking at Dignitas. I think theirs is a little bit worse than it was in game 1. Trading out Susano for Nemesis, not exactly an even trade come late game. Sol is close to Chronos, but as I mentioned, I think I'd take Chronos over almost any god in the game in the later stages, and now it's NRG the one who has that Chronos. So I think that NRG probably a little bit more favored come late game now.
Well, Arkkyl once again going for that Devour's Chronos is adapting, swings around to say hello to Variety once more and continue the pressure to give Dimi lane dominance here so far. And it means Dimi can rotate a little bit earlier on, go get some buffs either in his own jungle or the enemies.
And it's his own buffs that are coming up first. And this is good news if you're rooting for NRG, because this means they can secure their own buffs on this right-hand side, even with adapting, and this time he got two a little bit. No one saw.
Guys, he's probably one of the best junglers in the world. Even he misses abilities. F. Dot is screaming now. He's like, yes, I'm not the only one.
Wow, why you got to throw F dot on the bus like that?
It's always a sash camp. It's always a sash camp with me. That no-shot sash camp would be infamous.
You know, he was messing with his key bindings. He misclicked. He didn't think that he could actually sash the buff.
It's infamous. I'm pretty sure he's going to come over here while we're on cast in a minute and say it once he hears it on air. So
you're probably right.
More than likely. Dimi will get his own blue, though, on the right-hand side. Pick that up, makes him level 7. And went for the Ninja Tabby, which we've seen a couple of times on some Bellonas. It doesn't come out too often, but it is being utilized here.
And I like it in this scenario. Just using that sustain from the Scourge. That's the main reason why we're seeing this Ninja Tabby, is getting as many heals off that third hit of Scourge as you can, because variety is going to be there and be able. You want to stand in Scourge a lot of the time anyways, because you want to be disarming the Osiris as much as possible, since he wants to be using his in-hands.
Well, this is a similar start to game 1 where NRG had a lead and looked to steal away speeds over and over again. This time around, though, Dig aren't able to defend as well as they did at their own speed buff. You see the aggression onto Zyrhoes in mid. That knockup was beautiful. Nothing Zyrhoes could do, because when you're knocked up, you can't Aegis.
And no beads, so good recognition by NRG, knowing that there's no way for Zyrhoes to get out of that CC chain. Wild Hunt on top of that. That means that Zyrhoes can be controlled for 3 seconds, a little bit more than that even, in terms of CC duration, without being able to get that Aegis off.
Great little pick there, and it's just catching Zyrhoes to disapparate before he can get even in towards casting. That is really the key. No Wild Hunt wasn't even really needed there from Yammyn, but it did come in handy still to get the extra damage off.
And just guaranteeing that Aegis isn't going to come out and force Zyrhoes back into his tower. You have to go into a risky situation in that scenario. Smart play by Yammyn, probably not going to need that ultimate soon anyways.
And now NRG 4 men strong, looking at the blue buff, just trying to strip that away, and it looks like they do so just in time. iRaffer going to be like, no, Dimi, you don't need this, I need this. Look at me, I am the solo laner now.
You tax your solo laner. Hey, I earned you this farm, I'm going to get the buff. It's fair.
You should be able to tax buffs.
What does that mean? You get a portion of the
I think
buff?
every single... If you're a support and you see a buff, you can take it. Because you have to play support, man.
No, you're not going to do anything.
Listen, think about it. When you call in lobby and casuals, for example, and you call in lobby and you don't call quick enough, you end up on support.
Yeah.
95% of the time. Experienced that, because I've tapped in Phil so much.
Yeah.
And I'm main support. But 95% of the time you're playing support, you should get the buffs of like, listen, none of you wanted to play this role, so I get the buffs.
So I should be giving a level 7 Terra my red buff.
Yeah.
Just because he was too slow to type in mid and press enter.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You earn those buffs by calling your role in the lobby.
All right, well, I remember you earn your life when you survive in a team fight because the support saved you. Remember that. Remember that. It's casualties of war, my friend. Dimi is continuing to pressure variety. He's 2 levels down, and this seems to have been NRG's game plan for me. The solo lane pressure, they put him on Osiris. They let him have Osiris. They could have banned this away. They put variety on it, and now they're trying to abuse that situation.
And this is a great sign for NRG, because I like their idea. Yeah, Osiris is an absolute nightmare to deal with if he gets a lead. But if he doesn't get a lead, he's really not that scary at any stage of the game, because he's really doing most of his work at the early stages. So I like this decision. Put him on, put variety in Osiris. Sure, we're just going to make sure that he never gets scary, and then he just doesn't feel very useful come late game.
Well, Dignitas are a little bit slower than used to be on these oracles, because last game they were split consistently. This time round, NRG will get both, and Trix dashed in very late there looking for the steal. Could have been caught out, but NRG didn't want to commit. They just wanted the experience and the actual vision around the Gold Fury.
We've seen so many different... this NRG roster being together for as long as they have, and we see so many high-profile games for them that you really feel like you get a sense for the way they think about the game. And we see this so many times, at least that I can remember. They lose game 1 in a very close back-and-forth game, and then they just get mad. They just don't like losing like that, and then really tighten up their play in the second game of a set. Wouldn't be surprised to see NRG come out and really dominate this entire time.
Well, that's awkward. When you think about it, it's a really awkward thing to do. Is Adapsin looking to steal away the buff? This time around won't happen. Quvo secures it. Adapsin still boxing and getting the better end of this as Yammyn now turns up and Zyrhoes under pressure. Disapparate forced out as Trix also. And a lot of free poke from iRaffer.
Adapting actually body blocks Quvo off that speed buff for a full 2.5, 3 seconds. That's insane. I mean, didn't have any
speed.
Speed's still on the ground. Quvo was forced back. Now was Adapting 2v1, just standing on top of the speed saying, yeah, you might have gotten the farm for it, but you're not getting the buff.
And the buff will eventually just disappear because it only lasts for 30 seconds and it's gone. There's no chance for Quvo to go and pick it up. Blue buff's about to spawn though, and Adapting's already in position with Dimi pressuring variety more under the tower and 2 more members of NRG on the way.
Adapting a little bit low on mana right now, but has enough. Camazotz not necessarily the most mana-hungry god in that jungle, but Dignitas' response is enough to get NRG off the blue buff. Instead, going to take the consolation prize of the Fire Elementals.
The blue buff will go
Oh, no,
down.
that goes Dimi's way.
No,
of
Dimi
course.
just took it with a Scourge.
Of course, that's Dimi's. Get off that.
So even worse situation for Dignitas, then this just continues. Every single little skirmish we see, every single time they flip that coin, it's coming up all energy.
But they don't have that much of a lead for having as much, some would say luck, others would say skill, just as much going in their favor as they do right now. Only up 2 kills, about 2,000 gold, a little bit under that mark. And as good as NRG's late game is, as I mentioned, Dignitas' is very solid as well. Could be Dignitas just going for the same sort of style. If it worked in game 1, no reason it can't work here again in game 2.
Well, no, speaking about Arkkyl so far in this game, but now iRaffer just turns up at the same time and knocks him back. The Devour's Gauntlet is nearly finished now, and going in this against Chronos, again, we saw it against Freya, is it just as wise to go for the Devour's Gauntlet against Chronos?
Exactly. Chronos is going to play safe the entire time anyways. Not a ton of kill potential there, so you expect that you're going to be able to farm up pretty heavily as well. Wouldn't have hated to see a Silver Branch bow, the magical equivalent of that Ichaival, stripping away some magical power from emilitoo, giving Arkkyl that attack speed and penetration. But either way, I've got no problem with him focusing towards the late game and trying to be as effective there as possible. Plus, something that we haven't seen a lot of recently, because hunters are starting to move away from lifesteal, or really have moved away from lifesteal pretty heavily during Season 4, is Arkkyl will be able to solo the Gold Fury pretty soon here, whereas NRG doesn't have a chance to do that.
And the Pole Demon too, when you think about it, it's another situation just like that. This fight is all around the Oracles, and NRG in greater position overall. They're just poking out and keeping Dignitas at bay. We'll take them for free. The left-hand Harpies could be contested by both here. Trix and Qvo turning up with Arkkyl to try and put some pressure on, but NRG just too quick.
And this is NRG's game plan, to starve out Dignitas in the early stages, because if they could get to the late game first, they're certainly going to have the better team fights, because they've got arguably the better late game anyways. And as we mentioned in game 1, the mid game is also very scary for NRG. You think about Yammyn hitting that power spike of finishing Shifter Shield as he just has, and if he goes for the same build as he did last time at Ichaival right after this, I love it. That's the perfect idea.
Speed buff on the right-hand side being looked at by NRG here, adapting, starting up. Trixtank and Zyrhoes looking to steal it away, and will do so. Zyrhoes nicely done there, just to secure that for his team and get Qvo his speed this time.
Can I just say that I love the little colored spirits that come off the minions now?
It makes life so much easier.
Oh, it's so nice. Just taking a moment to appreciate what we have.
I dealt with that for 3-4 years easily. And you come on the scene and you do half a year and you're like, oh man, I'm so glad it's done.
I don't know who got the buff. That's
Arkkyl versus emilitoo, and Arkkyl's losing that trade because Emil will rewind. And the position of the rewind is beautiful. Emilitoo gets himself a solo kill. Arkkyl falls down.
Said not a lot of kill potential in that lane against emilitoo, but apparently plenty onto Arkkyl.
Plenty onto Trixtank too. Piggy squeal, Piggy. Yammyn gets credit for the kill there. They invest a lot to burst him down, but it could work out well.
Now they've got the opportunity to go for the Portal Demon. Qvo's on this left-hand side, actually, chasing down emilitoo. That Typhoon gets beads out, and Qvo's still going for it.
And now emilitoo could box in the minions, but the minions and Qvo's damage is too good. Meanwhile, Adapting takes out Zyrhoes, and Variety can't do anything apart from potentially just watch 4 members of NRG walk over to the Portal Demon again.
Half health, has the ultimate, but very low on mana as well. Good decision from Variety to give this one up. NRG winning basically all across the map. Qvo puts Dig on the board, knocking down emilitoo in a big way, but still, it's NRG in the lead.
I think the biggest story is the 1v1, because that's kind of where the hope was for Dignitas, I feel. The other lanes of Dignitas were currently losing anyway. You know, Zyrhoes have been killed already. Variety had a bad time at the start. You were kind of relying on Arkkyl to weather the storm a little bit and maybe transition you. But getting soloed by emilitoo means that every lane is losing.
And the big difference, the big reason why we saw Arkkyl get soloed there is he just can't keep getting hit by these time stops.
This trap. That little sneaky trap on the left-hand side is beautiful as we watch Variety box out. But they're sneakily waiting for emilitoo to come back. They know they got both his relics. They know his ultimate's on cooldown. And if he just face checks there, he's going to die. The bad news is it's taking him a lot of time to set this up, and they're not earning experience by doing so.
And Qvo desperately needs something. He's already down 2 levels to Adapting.
He's still not even covered.
Still only level 11.
That's so bad. You know what? It's like playing peekaboo and you're like, okay, I'm hiding. Oh, they walk past me and you don't see him for 3 hours. Now they're going to commit to like, Emil's got nothing. All in him. Bad news is Rewind came back up at the worst possible time. And now the rotations could come out from NRG. Adapting, swinging in from mid. Raffer wants Zyrhoes to separate, already used. And Dimi turns up to the fray too. It's Trixtank they're after, actually. But the Bracer will keep him standing, as will his ult. Dimi's ult will not hit the 3 carries of Dig around the left-hand side. But still, NRG do well.
There's great option there by Dignitas to get out of danger. That Terra's Blessing huge in order to get the rest of Dig enough movement speed to get away from Dimi's ultimate, but iRaffer falling pretty low. Gold Fury's leashed, but Trixtank still hanging around below 15%.
And Adapting now wrapping around the back, getting good damage off into Zyrhoes. Qvo pulls him in, and Adapting leaps back out. Dignitas have to fall back, and it's Qvo and Variety on the front line on their own. Arkkyl comes in with the snipes, trying to support him, will do so. Zyrhoes credit with a kill onto Dimi. 1 for 0 to Dig. And NRG are like, nope, peace, we're done here. Let's just fall back. Or are we?
Wow, really good plays out of Dignitas. Somehow staying alive with that low HP, just baiting NRG in consistently. Talk about confidence in your own team to just basically dangle Trixtank out there with very low HP, baiting NRG into the fight, getting 1 kill, and then immediately retreating. Again, Dignitas just knowing exactly what their team can get away with and what it can't. That may not seem like a lot. I mean, only getting 1 kill and not losing anyone in the process. No objectives, nothing like that taken. No stuff after the stuff, if you will. But again, it's that first sign of life from Dignitas. It's funny that they can really take it to NRG in this game.
The calls are good, but they're all being followed too, which is even better. Because you want all the calls to be followed, first of all. Then you work out whether the call is good or bad. They're doing both here. Whoever's making these shot calls is perfect on the disengages and engages. But the rest of the team are all following suit, and that's what you need when you're one of the best teams in the world, potentially going up against potentially still the best team in the world.
I mean, it's team chemistry is critical at this stage, at this level of play. It really is the difference. I mean, you expect everyone's going to be hitting their shots. That's not really the question anymore.
It's kind of when you get to the Pro League and you get into the Pro League as a low-level tier team, like say for example Sanguine or Justice the years gone by. Your job there is to try and pick up to the pace of the Pro League. The small mistakes are going to get punished heavier, and the shot calling has to be better and improved. Then when you get to the mid-table, you're like, okay, now our communication's got to get to that level too, as the shot calling has. And then you've got to add in your mechanics too to get to the real top level of everyone playing at the best of their ability the entire time.
And that just reminds me of how well Rival has done to stick together. And that has been the team to watch in terms of watching their transformation. Bring up Justice, one of their old players on that team. Vote.
Cataclysm from Rapid very early on. Nice knock-up too. Already the dash was down for Trix just to make sure NRG couldn't commit, but you saw Beads was used by Zyrhoes there. NRG walk away happy with that.
Zyrhoes and Arkkyl, so very happy. 2 ultimates for 2 sets of Beads. Oh yeah, you're going to take that trade every single time. Now both of those characters have some CC immunity in their kits. Zyrhoes with that very brief moment of CC immunity with that Supernova, and of course Arkkyl can buy plenty of time with the Astral Barrage, but all it takes is 1 quick CC from Dimi or even emilitoo, and that could spell death before those ultimates go off.
And now they're going to be a little bit more careful. Yeah, Zyrhoes going to be coming around towards the Gold Furies. The Oracle's going to go to NRG once again. 4 members strong will easily take them away. And that's the one thing that happens at the highest level too, is the beads count. Talking about beads, like in casual B, your beads are down or not. You don't know if your oppositions are down or up ever half the time, unless you burn them. But these guys take that into account every single time. They're like, listen, we know beads are down until, you know, a certain minute in the game. In this example, it's 100 seconds time before those beads are back up, and we can abuse that.
Dimi getting low on the right-hand side. Variety catches him with that Lord of the Afterlife. Qvo's here, and that's going to be it for Dimi. Variety is going to be the one to get the kill, his first of the game.
They could get tower here as well if they want to, but they were a little bit worried about a potential rotation coming out from NRG. That rotation is very, very late, and they could have got that tier 1 tower. In the end, they'll fall back, and Yammyn will keep it alive for the time being. Dignitas could have found a little bit more of a small win there, but without ward coverage in the jungle, it made it very tricky.
It only is going to take half of a minion wave to get in that tower to knock it down anyway. It's not a big deal. Plus, that can sometimes be a boon. I mean, now Dimi has a choice. Do I want to teleport back to that right-hand side just to make sure that Dig don't get that 500 gold burst and really waste my teleport in doing so? You can really pin a solo laner in their lane by keeping their tower low, but not quite killing it.
Rapha's just sat in the Gold Fury pit right now. Has Blink available, and that's what he'll be looking for. Cataclysm is back up. He knows that his cooldown of Cataclysm is lower than that of the 2 beads of Zyrhoes and Arkkyl, and they could be setting up for a cheeky little trap here.
He's waiting for Zyrhoes on that bottom left side, and going back to that beads count, that you want to talk about applications of math. You know, you want to be a pro Smite player, you have to know exactly how long those beads are going to be going. It takes a little bit to practice to get there, but absolutely critical for a team. Every team at a top level has someone who hears beads go off and does the math in their head.
And Rafa was just caught in position there, but he's going to blink on Zyrhoes early on, but Zyrhoes returns the favor with an ult to get immunity to avoid the Cataclysm, to get his Disapparate off. Lovely play from Zyrhoes, but NRG still coming to the gold, and Zyrhoes' ult is now on cooldown.
Still has the Aegis though, and the beads are going to be up in about 5 seconds, so Zyrhoes,
what a good ult.
Safe enough. Yeah, quick reaction time out of the veteran.
But he's still aggressed on by Adaptin. Adaptin's low on mana, but he will force Zyrhoes completely out of the fight now. Zyrhoes is just too low, but he's still thinking about coming back in or farming. Gold Fury still at 100% health as the two warriors in the solo lane still boxing away.
And now Variety's got that lead in the solo lane. It's level 16 to Dimi's level 14, and you can see that Mystical Mail is done for Variety, so he's going to be the one putting more damage onto Dimi at this stage, even with Dimi getting some decent heals from that Gladiator Shield passive.
Patient game between the two. Still no Gold Furies down. Portal team has been looked at more in this set than Gold Fury has.
Gold Fury is just risky at this stage. I mean, one Gold Fury can really spell the end, and especially whenever you get to the point where it's 19 and a half, 20 minutes, somewhere around there, and that first Gold Fury still hasn't gone down, because remember, Gold Fury reward scales off of the amount of time that's on that in-game clock, and so you have to be wary with those later game Gold Furies, worth more than those early game ones.
A little bit surprised by emilitoo's build there, just because I expected to see the Fatalis when he was working towards it in that tree. Instead he went for the Wing Blade, which you mentioned in the last game was really solid for the amount of slows. Is it the same story this game?
Solid, maybe not quite as good because you really want it anytime there's a Nemesis on the other team, but excellent against Soul, Osiris, and Rama as well.
Well, Variety taking a brunt of damage there up against Adapting and just has to walk away. And that's the whole job Adapting's doing. He's basically very ability-based, feels Camazotz. Obviously, his auto attacks do hurt, but you only really use them when you've got the opportunity to use them.
You just kind of weave them in whenever you get an opportunity. Auto-canceling, basically, just making sure you're getting as much DPS as possible when close range, but certainly more ability-based than most other assassins, and even less so than Thor. Thor really relies on auto attacks in between abilities to have that 100-0 potential. Camazotz is about poke, 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 and then all-ins you with that one to give himself a power boost into the ultimate.
Can we see gold in hand here? I want to see how much Trix is on, because he's just farming up a little bit more. He's got enough gold for Sovereignty, which I'm surprised at that he's not gone back to get his Relic too, especially knowing that Gold Fury is always a threat. There we go. I was wondering how long he's going to take to do this, because he had enough gold for a little while.
Well, he heard you and said, all right, I'm sorry, I'm going back.
Man, imagine if they could hear us. That'd be so good.
Would it?
Yeah. I'd beat them all day for fun. Oh, Variety, there's 3 of them behind you. Watch out! Like, all the time.
They're all on Fire Giant. It's like 8 minutes into the game.
8 minutes into Fire Giant. Shut up, Hindu. We don't believe it.
But the solo stops, looks like,
I do
wait
it
a minute.
so much that they'd realize, they think I was baiting every time and then just tell them the truth. And so I'd be like, yo, just so you know, Energy's on Gold Fury. And they're like, no, they're not Hindu. It's Hindu talking. They're never on Gold Fury. And then you hear the ting. And they see the gold lead. And
this
like,
is a way for you to expand your Hitman Caster Curse business. And just say, yeah, I'll say you're on Gold Fury when you're not. You know, you just sell those
genius.
on the side.
Well, we'll see if we can do that. Maybe we look at land. Dimi in mid lane, pressuring Cubo out. Zyrhoes immediately turns into corporeal form to get back to safety. No, he's under pressure, but now that's on cooldown. Could be go time for Energy.
Adapting is coming on the left-hand side. That tier 1 tower already gone. Dimi gets the shield from Raffer. Still needs a little bit of damage. Arkkyl does as well.
But Energy get what they want, the tier 1, and immediately collapse straight back towards the Gold Fury. But it's not the Gold Fury they're after, it seems. It looks like they're heading towards the jungle side, towards the solo lane tower. They want towers.
They want the towers, exactly. And look at their composition. You can't blame them for wanting the towers. They've got that Chronos. Now that emilitoo has the Obsidian Shard, that tower shredding penetration item, this is when Energy's grouping up to push.
I think you're right. It's all about that Obsidian Shard. The tower is not going to take too long. emilitoo can tank it up with some of those shields coming out from Raffer. Variety's on the scene, though. Minions are in play, but Energy has to be respectful of the rotation from Dig. Trix pops the ultimate early on, trying to slow everybody down as Dimi's boxing against Zyrhoes. Frenzy is popped, and Dimi's the one in trouble. Thorns is keeping him alive for as long as possible. He has the Eagles rally away, and Arkkyl's looking for the snipes. It's Zyrhoes who gets credit for the kill because Susano pulls him away. Adapting takes to the sky like a bat out of hell and hitting 3 as Variety's boxing against 3 on the other side.
He's got to retreat, though, and Adapting's waiting for him by this Gold Fury. Variety jukes out the abilities, and now it's the rest of Dig starting to come around the side.
And they're looking for emilitoo, who rewinds back to safety. Zyrhoes is the one in trouble, but emilitoo's just slow low on mana. He can't do too much against Zyrhoes. It's a box off between mages, and emilitoo is forced to Aegis defensively.
Adapting's still alive. Somehow Arkyl's missed all of his auto attacks. There's the Geb shield, and Adapting's gonna live. Are you kidding me?
Cuvo was looking for it, but he's not gonna find it. So it's a 1-for-1 Trix for Dimi. Gold Fury, is that started by Dig here? Are they doing the gold now, or are they doing the oracles?
Yes, they pulled it, and it's Variety there taking it up. Arkyl's got that lifesteal as well. It is going to be Dignitas about to pull this in. This is going to go their way.
Big fight.
But man, I made the analogy with the heavyweight boxers in the last game. This one, adapting looked like Muhammad Ali juking all those shots.
Oh, Fire Giant call from NRG, so they lose the gold, and only Variety's here. Variety does not have his ultimate available. Dimi collapses onto him. Yammyn still tanking his up, but Yammyn's getting very low. Shield from Raffer and help him out. Variety's just trying to keep vision right now. Tether will slow the damage down for a moment. Collapse onto Yammyn to pressure him out. Cataclysm on Variety in response. He has to use Thor's Eagles Rally. That was a killing blow for Ninja, Dimi, and NRG. Gold Fury for Fire Giant.
What a call. The confidence from NRG is just absolutely amazing. They have no worries about Variety there because they know they can CC chain him.
I was worried Trix wasn't going to try and body block that, but he is now. I was like, please don't let Adapting just steal that away. I've seen that too much today where Portal Demons die. So did get gold, did get Portal Demon, and Qvo, wisely so, takes that tier 1 tower in mid. NRG meanwhile got the Fire Giant, and that's why the graphs are yet again. Was it 22, 24 minutes last game? The graphs are even?
Here we are again. Deja vu all over again between these two teams. And I mean, we build a pretty good game coming in here, and we're certainly getting it. This set has been absolutely amazing. These two teams playing at the top level of Smite.
It just feels like the teams are starting to work out the game again. Since Season 4 hit, normally the first split is all everyone working out how things work and what the changes are that have changed with itemization, map changes like the Portal Demon, the Oracles, the Elementals. Now, it's kind of like, okay, we all know what's going on, and now we get to see these really close encounters.
That's what's so exciting, and everyone's ramping up for DreamHack Valencia. That's made up to be, it's going to be an incredible tournament. I mean, the level of play at Masters was really exciting to watch. Teams were really starting to understand how to abuse leads that they got, and after some recent adjustments, now they're going to be able to readjust and see what their play is going to be like for DreamHack.
So with this Fire Giant now, it looks like we should see NRG start to try and take down some of these towers, even though it's an even game. This Fire Giant buff doesn't make it even. It basically means that they have extra damage survivability because of the regeneration from this buff.
And I like this decision from Dignitas to just play very patiently. They don't want to take the fight to NRG right now, and a little bit surprised that NRG hasn't tried to force it since getting this Fire Giant. Now is the time, though.
2 minutes? They've had it 2 minutes so far, not done anything with it. That's really surprising.
But
like you said,
especially because of how much they wanted to tower siege earlier, that Fire Giant buff makes tower sieging even better. So you would have expected NRG to really put heavy focus on these tier 2s very, very quickly. Still got about 1 minute and 50 seconds on this buff, so still plenty of time to make something happen.
I mean, this is just pressure right now, because you see Raffer was farming mid, going to roll out towards the lane. Now on the way is Yammyn down the lane with the Chronos. Everyone's starting to group up nice.
And emilitoo has that rod up to Hootie. That's probably a big reason why NRG was waiting a little bit longer to start sieging. Wanted that
big cataclysm onto Variety. The Thorns is already used. Raffer takes the brunt of the damage, but the shield soaks a lot. Still, Raffer's getting low, but Bracerman doing to the rescue. In the sky is Arkkyl looking to snipe out emilitoo and keep him honest. Rewind not used by emilitoo there, though. They're going to hold on energy and look to regen.
2 ultimates used on the side of Dignitas, 2 ultimates used on the side of NRG, but that tier 2 tower still stands. Look how much damage it took very quickly, though. It's not going to take NRG long to knock these down whenever they have this Fire Giant buff. And now that they're healing up, using that sustain from the Fire Giant buff, it's their time to try and siege it again.
Minions on the way in for NRG means the backdoor protections are removed. Yammyn going to get clapped on by Trixtank to slow him down, but it's still not going to be enough to keep the tier 2 tower alive. I love Variety's idea to try and flank around the back. The bad news is Adapting expected that and was hanging there on Camazotz.
And now the tier 2 in middle is the focus. I mean, emilitoo is just shredding these towers alongside Yammyn. Cannot stand for long.
Oh, this is a little bit risky from NRG as the damage coming out from Sol comes into play. Minions have turned up on the scene though, but they're going to get shredded down very quick, and NRG can't find any more than they'd like to from this tier 2 tower in mid. Speed is coming up soon. It looks like they're trying to draw people into the jungle for a fight.
Zyrhoes got drawn in and absolutely had to use the Aegis to get away, but immuned out that ultimate from Dimi. Trixtank, now the focus under that tier 2 tower in mid, is able to find that route, but immediately NRG just turn their focus and get 1,500 gold for the team.
They will get that tower, and Variety will not swing around the back. You saw him teleport to the tier 2, and I like what NRG did there. Another basketball reference today, head fake yet again. They went into the jungle, and I'm like, hey, we're going to go to the solo. They went, oh no, we're going back mid. Drew Dignitas into an awkward position and get the tower for it.
People do head fakes in soccer, right?
No.
No?
I mean, yeah, technically, but would you call it a head fake?
You're just trying to seem like you're
We just call it debated.
You guys call it debated.
Yeah,
is that where that's
where
the Twitch emote came from?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Debated. Chat live by the one too. 7-4. Fire Giant is off. All members of NRG Esports now. And still, Dignitas is basing this in decent array after that.
I mean, only losing 2 tier 2s. Yes, that's 3,000 gold for NRG, and that's going to push them a little bit closer to some big power items, but Dignitas is right there with them. I mean, only 4,000 gold behind at 28 minutes. That's very little in terms of how far behind you actually are. Now, if Dignitas is sitting, you know, on almost a Rod of Tahuti on that restored artifact, whereas emilitoo has his, that's where that big difference can come from, but you can kind of fight around that, say, wait, I need to farm a little bit more, and then we can start taking these fights.
Contest of the gold here is going to happen. Dignitas got the last one of these, but it should go to NRG as Variety have to surrender it. But maybe Diggs start swinging onto the fire giant, because that's where they're going right now, a couple of members. Once again, though, adapting sniffs it out before it's even happened.
It was the opposite play Dignitas wanted to do, exactly what NRG did to them, but that just too much damage and too much mobility from NRG. They were going to get there in time, basically no matter what. Dignitas don't have that objective shred that NRG do. Actually, cancel that. They've got plenty of objective shreds. It just wasn't up in time.
I'll tell you what, nice little crit coming out from Arkkyl there. A couple of crits in a row now, swinging for about 600. Not got a whole lot of crit in this build just yet. That'll keep climbing as time goes on. This Portal Demon has been reset multiple times, but still going as Eagles running from Dimi. Portal Demon goes to NRG. Trix can't really get in the fight to protect Arkkyl right now, who's running for his life. Rama adapting. Meanwhile, Dimi's doing the same things as Zyrhoes.
Qvo charging up that Typhoon, gonna knock out a 3-man there. Variety can't quite find the ultimate though, and the ultimate from Zyrhoes wasn't good.
Adapting, chasing after Qvo just to put some more pressure on his Variety. Gonna run down with Trix and get a good wall off his Trix onto iRaffer and Dimi. Rapper's one hit from death right now, and they will pick it up. Zyrhoes credit with a kill. emilitoo, though, will also take out 2.
That double stun was huge coming out of emilitoo. Zyrhoes and Trixtank on the run now, and all of a sudden, NRG starting to turn it on its head. They're the ones pushing back Dignitas.
And they've got the Portal Demon. The slow will connect with Zyrhoes, but Disapparate will speed him up. emilitoo! Oh, that was close.
The Disapparate damage almost did it. If that was Release Soul, emilitoo would have been stunned and killed in that scenario, but just able to escape. Great body blocks there by Dimi, potentially saving emilitoo's life.
And emilitoo did start his step for a second there, so he still gets away, though, luckily enough. Great work from his solo lane to keep him standing. Portal Demon is slowly, I think, is it worn off already, the Portal Demon? That's how long the fight was? That's crazy.
Extended in that scenario, and emilitoo now a completely full build, all 6 items done. Last item, Book of the Dead. Really thought that was going to be a Fatalis. I really expected a Fatalis in that 6th item slot, but instead decides he needs a little bit more power. Wouldn't mind seeing him trade that Winged Blade for a Fatalis if this game goes late enough, but
not too worried about it, because
doing okay.
It could be ability-based Chronos when you've got a Hunter on your team anyway, right? And they've got the Chronos, so go for the ability damage version of Chronos and it works out. Chronos and Chronos, really?
Already gone. NRG using that objective shred. Yammyn going to be the one to secure it for his team. Less than 10 kills for NRG so far, but have really gotten those kills when they matter, always around objectives.
That's why no one picked Nike this game.
Oh, they wouldn't have even had the passive.
See? Smart plays. These guys think so far outside. Listen, we're going to go over 30 minutes. We're going to have 10 kills either side. Let's not pick Nike. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Nike seems good here. No, we're not going to have 10 kills. Oh, good point. We should go with something else then.
And look at the kills on Dignitas right now. They've only got 5, but it's shared out nicely as you'd like. Obviously, Arkkyl would like a couple more, but he's working on that crit still. I keep mentioning that because I'm interested to see where he goes for the Rage or the Deathbringer next, especially because of you going for the Windy.
Interesting that he's gone for this kind of little bit of both style. He's double dipping right now between the crit and the chin size. Usually, if you're building crit, you build XC, sure, but not chin size. You go for an extra crit item in that slot instead. This time around, and usually if you're going chins, you go for just a ton of penetration and really only relying on that executioner for the pen. Little bit of both. I think I would have preferred to see him just go straight crit if that's what he wanted to go for, but at the end of the day, I mean, if he's doing a lot of damage, he's doing a lot of damage. Doesn't really matter how he's doing it.
Well, it took 2 minutes last time for NRG to do something with their Fire Giant. This time it's only going to take them a minute because they'll head back to base, buy up, and take a tier 2. Now start the siege of the Phoenixes. Dignitas happy to defend the Phoenixes, I think, compared to tier 2s at this stage.
Yeah, no sense in defending tier 2s. 1,500 gold, as I mentioned, not really relevant at this stage.
Root from Trix onto Dimi. Dimi doesn't really care about that all too much. And emilitoo was focused there, but iRaffer with a nice shield to keep him busy, and it's all about poke wars now between the two.
That's exactly what you... Oh, there's the big Cataclysm on a 3 from iRaffer, but not a lot of follow-up for him. Now he's the one in trouble, getting shredded.
He's already dead. The ball was used as well, and that works out so good for Dignitas on defense. 4 members of NRG are like, what do we do now? The leader is dead. We've not got a front line, only Dimi really there, so they've got to back away. Dignitas have defended against that Fire Giant.
iRaffer falls into the classic support trap. You see multiple members grouped up. You got the perfect initiation. Everything goes right. except for the fact that no one's close enough to follow up.
If he had the speed buff and he would have taken it from adapting, he may have lived there. I'm just saying, support should take buffs.
No, he wouldn't.
He would have rolled out quicker.
He was CC'd.
He would have rolled out quicker.
They interrupted the rollout.
It was a nice little engage from NRG, though. I'd like iRaffer going for that play, but Dig just handled it so well.
It was I couldn't quite see if anyone jumped in front of the rest of NRG to prevent that follow-up, or if it was just iRaffer blinking a little bit too far forward.
He got 2 beads and an Aegis out of that. That's not a bad blink ultimate, but NRG can't turn it around after that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. He gets plenty for it. As I mentioned, that's the ideal engage. That's everything you want. You hit multiple carries with it and get multiple relics, but just no real follow-up afterwards, and it's about how much time you're losing on this Fire Giant. iRaffer just respawning a moment ago, and so now we've only got about a minute left. I don't know if there's time for NRG to go for a Phoenix.
I don't think so either. We might have to see another Fire Giant. One thing I will say is, looking at the beads timers between Zyrhoes and Arkkyl, you can see Arkkyl was ever so slightly quicker than Zyrhoes at the beads. However, Zyrhoes didn't panic and use his Aegis, where Arkkyl did. Interesting story from that one little cataclysm you can work out. Arkkyl is quicker at beading than Zyrhoes.
In the very large sample size of one team fight.
And 0.1 of a second, too. That's the difference between them, pretty much.
Hey, 0.1 of a second could absolutely be the difference.
I know, that's what I'm trying to say, and you're trying to put me down for it.
Well, sure. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Now the defense, one more time. Geb is back. No blink available for another 5 seconds, would you believe? So this blink being available again in a second means iRaffer could do exactly the same thing one more time. He's looking for the right opportunity. No beads are down, and there's 3 this time. The wild hunt is on. Trixtank is going to fall even through the brace of undoing. Adapting heads straight for Zyrhoes, and Dimi claims his life. Arkkyl and Variety can't do anything to stop NRG as they rip the backline apart and take a Phoenix.
Perfect deja vu there for NRG. I mean, literally the exact same spot on the Phoenix defense, and they get the same 3 people hit by that ultimate once more. Trix didn't even get a chance to use his Frenzy or his ultimate in that scenario.
Well, game 1, you saw all 3 Phoenixes fall for Dignitas. Game 2, you're going to see all 3 Phoenixes fall for NRG Esports. God, these 2 teams make it a dream hack. This could be spicy.
Oh, man. Europe as a whole just has so much competition. Now it's NRG pushing into the Titan room. No, don't want to back up like Dignitas did last game.
I don't know. I think they can hold for the time being. Variety doing work. Qvo, he's taking him on a merry chase. Qvo is going to fall soon, but Adapti just backed away.
Didn't have any cooldowns. No way to close that gap either.
Speed buff.
Yeah, but Susano. Yeah, what? You can't. You can have 2 speed buffs.
Who would believe a god that has all the mobility in the world, when he has no cooldowns, he also moves like he's got a million abilities in the world?
Is that how he moves? Like he has a million abilities?
I just hate him. He's always so mobile and hard to pin down. How do you think you've got him any beads or Aegises anyway? Or Bracer Undoing?
You know what would help you? Like Susano a little more?
Deleting the character.
No, you should play him. You don't play any Susano.
I've not actually played a single game as him.
Honestly, I'm telling you, if you play him...
I love what Digger doing. Like, come on, walk through. Sadly enough, it's not going to happen, though. Fire Giant coming back up does... This is the last time for Dignitas, I think, here.
It certainly is. I mean, look at how far they've pushed out those fire waves, though. It isn't like last time when Dignitas had multiple fire waves pouring in NRG's base, and you couldn't have anyone come and help defend that Fire Giant. Dignitas has a lot of space on their Titan room for the time being, but not going to last for long. This Fire Giant's going to go down. I mean, the 3rd one for NRG.
I don't think you can give this up. I don't think you can give up this Fire Giant here for free. I think you have to send 1 member and hope for the best.
I don't think so, because then you're taking a 4v5 in your Titan room with 3 waves of fire minions, and you lose anyways.
Take a 5v5 in the Titan room against a Fire Giant team and 3 waves of fire minions.
You don't have to take it in the Titan room. Now you wait until NRG groups up. Take it where your tier 2 tower used to stand. Take it where Trixtank is fighting right now. You've got a little bit more space that way. I just don't think that trying to steal away the Fire Giant, even if you get it at that stage, you still got 3 waves of fire minions, and it's a 5v4, but it doesn't matter.
Cataclysm in mid hits 2. Variety's the one in a bit of trouble here, but it is a tank on the front line. Thorns uses Arkkyl. Invests a lot of his snipes into Adapting there, who uses the Bar of Hell. Dimi on the backside looking to keep Zyrhoes and Arkkyl busy. The crits from Arkkyl are working, though, but Yammyn is swinging hard enough to bring down Trixtank. Qvo commits onto Dimi, but Qvo's just trying to buy time. Meanwhile, fire minions are slowly gathering up, and 1 member of Dig is already dead.
Qvo just doing his best to distract on this right-hand side.
Look at me.
Yeah, come chase
Look at me.
Don't worry about the Titan. I'm really mean.
And now he's going to keep him busy again, so Digger holding off. emilitoo and Yammyn like, guys, come on, can we end the game, please? Meanwhile, they still want Qvo, and Qvo's just buying as much time as possible, keeping on a merry goose chase.
We really need a Benny Hill, like, song. Just ready to go at any sort of stage, because that's exactly what Qvo's doing to NRG right now, just taking him on a walk.
No, it's too late now. Qvo's like, oh, I've lost my tails. Now he's dead. Adapting's going to find it. Is he going to find it?
He's Susano. Hindu, when will you learn?
This is junglers, typical. Junglers only chase kills and speed buffs. That's it.
That's all they care about.
That's all they care about is kills and speed buffs. They don't care about winning games unless you're adapting at wills. I saw that face once before. But NRG will finally get the split against Dignitas. Dignitas took game 1, very back and forth encounter. Game 2, same story.
I mean, if I was a betting man, I would have said split coming into this one just because these two teams are so close. I mean, yeah, these teams are so close right now. NRG has that sort of variability where they get to play today. Today they played very well. I don't think that was them losing the game by any stretch. It was Dignitas just playing better in game 1. Game 2, NRG got off to a similar lead, but was a little bit tighter with their lead, played it a little bit more safe. In that Fire Giant call, whoever called
that's a great call.
Absolutely won NRG the game. Huge plays out of NRG.
And that's EU in those two teams, but then you also had Rival Obey at the start of the day. That went 1-1 too, which means everybody's all pretty much even in the top 4-5. We've not even mentioned Enix yet.
Europe is incredibly competitive right now. NA is as well, but Europe, just with the way they played during the spring and Masters, you expect them to be a little bit higher up.
Sure.
This is a really impressive team.
Well, that's it for today, but it's time to head over to the desk to recap everything we've seen so far and see exactly how it all broke down.
Welcome back to the Analyst Desk, everybody. It's LHS and Taco, and we have from Dignitas, we have Trixtank on the line for an interview. How you doing, Trix?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. How does it feel to have qualified for Valencia?
I mean, it's obviously good. We've had a really good start of the split, so we're really happy. And now we can't settle down, but now we can like kind of relax because we already know we're secured.
And I would say that this has probably been one of your most challenging sets in this split so far. So how do you guys feel about the remaining games that you have to play?
I mean, these games against our NRG, I think they're our biggest competitors right now. They're just really, really smart when they play, and also their picks are kind of annoying. But I'm looking forward to see like whether it feels like both of us kind of figured out how to play the map, and even though they got lead in both games, we still kind of came back. It all came down to like better decision making, and it kind of just proves that it's no longer a snowball meta, but it's also just playing smart. So I'm really happy about that, and I hope going into the future we get some exciting matches, because this definitely was some of the most competitive games I've played the whole season, or was.
Now that you've qualified, you're at the top. Where do you go from here? I mean, you guys can't obviously take any time off. You don't want to get rusty, but you are at the top. So what do you do?
I mean, we want to go for the first seed. We want to get the best seeding as possible, mainly because also me and QvoFred have holiday before the tournament, so getting a good seeding will make it a little bit easier for us to like warm up in the first games when we come to Valencia. So we're just aiming for the first seed, and hopefully we can achieve that.
Just that massive sigh of relief. You can kind of tell the relief in like your voice, knowing that you guys have already clinched this one out. And so, really, as far as the team is concerned, like, do you really feel as though you guys have finally like really started to mesh?
Yeah, I don't think you can use the excuse anymore that we haven't been playing together anymore for too long anymore. I think we kind of settled down and we know how each player plays. And we're doing really good overall in scrims, also in these tournament games. So I'm really happy with our performance. Obviously, it was so close game, so it's always annoying losing that second game, man. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way the team is performing, and the team synergy has definitely become better. So yeah, I'm seeing big things for us, definitely.
I think saying that you're doing pretty good is kind of selling you guys short. I mean, this is week 4, and you just dropped a game for the first time. You guys are definitely doing very well, I would say. All right, so before we let you go, do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
Shout out to NRG for giving such a good match. It was very fun, and if I had to lose to anybody, it should definitely be them. Also shout out to Dignitas for being great sponsors, and yeah. So what else? Shout out to our fans, and shout out to all my subscribers. What's good?
All right, good luck on the rest of your journey here, and good luck at the LAN.
Thanks.
All right, so let's take a look at game number 4, Dig versus NRG. What a battle of titans this was.
Oh, man. I mean, you could just tell how stressed the map and the play style of both of these teams really was the entire time, particularly in game number 1, where, like Trixtank just mentioned, it was a little questionable for the start. It didn't really seem as though things were really transitioning super well, but then out of nowhere, Dignitas just seemed to ramp it up.
I want to look at QvoFred for this game. Game number 1, he was just everywhere, all over the map. And like we said last week, you can't ban him out. He plays everything. He plays everywhere. He just does what he wants.
And he was on probably one of the more favored picks right now. That Nemesis has just been so strong against these tankier compositions. And you throw Nemesis into the hands of somebody like QvoFred, he's going to pop off with it. And I mean, that's exactly what he did. He was completely insane this game. And I think that it's definitely credited to his teammates and supporting him and following up as much as necessary, because popping that ultimate and just knowing that he could trust his team to follow up with him, that's always so clutch.
Dignitas was just playing at an unreal level, and not even just them. Game number 2, NRG was playing at the unreal level. I mean, they just kind of swapped places. I mean, Yammyn on the Chronos mid, something we haven't really seen yet this split.
I think that both of these teams kind of just swap places, not in a bad way by any means, but it just looked like every single move that they made was very well thought out. They were super organized throughout their gameplay. You could tell that they were really flowing with each other, and like the team chemistry was just super strong. And we've seen Kern mess around a little bit in the hands of NA, but it was really nice watching it come through on the side of EU. We've seen a little bit of Hunter mid, never really the Kern from these guys, but I do think that Yammyn also, again, got to display that he is still one of the OG Hunter mid players, and for good reason. He is incredibly strong on those physical gods.
This EU fight for Valencia has been just been insane crazy. I mean, NRG, Dig, going back and forth, the split. I think this game lived up to all the hype. Another game that lived up to the hype today was Obey and Rival. I mean, we came into this week, we were looking at this, and this was a great game to watch.
I mean, my favorite part about it, game number 1, maybe not so much. Rival even made the joke themselves, showed you guys how to not play Smite. But I mean, in all fairness to the team, sometimes that just happens. Sometimes you just get off to an incredibly rough start, and when Pretty Prime just popped off at the start, as soon as that happened, you could kind of just tell in the eyes of Rival, it's like, okay, GG, like, we're ready to chalk this one up to a loss. And I mean, you can't really blame the team for that. If anything, I think it's incredible that a team can bounce back from a defeat like that, recognize their mistakes, and then completely correct them the next time around.
It's interesting to see these teams like get to that 10-minute mark. It's like, oh no, we lost this game, and then bounce back. Like you said, look at Vote in this game too. On the Chiron, you just couldn't stop them.
I think that Ataraxia was actually feeling a little sentimental getting to watch Vote on this Chiron. I know that I would, because his gameplay on a very non-traditional Hunter, I think it just proves how diverse he is with his god pool. We're more accustomed to seeing him on those hyper carry kind of Hunters, but this time on the Chiron, I mean, he made it work, and he really just helped his team. The cleanses were actually pretty clutch at some moments, and so all around, just really strong gameplay from Vote.
I feel like people sleep on the Chiron cleanse. I feel like that's not like the emphasis of his kit. People just forget that he has that cleanse, and it you know, it can be super, super important. Just
kind of one of those things that you put away into like the subconscious aspect of the brain. You're just like, oh, well, hey, actually, that's still there. So, I mean, always a strong kit or a part of his kit. And so whenever a player really utilizes every aspect of a God's kit, it's always fun gameplay to watch.
So as good as EU has been, we also got some really good NA action. We had Team AI versus Trifecta, formerly in memory of Gabe. That was a great game. Kiki in game number 1, he really made his presence known. Making
a splash for the recently picked up org. And I mean, if I'm Trifecta, I'm pretty happy. And I know that Kiki's been getting a lot of flack since he rejoined the pro level. Again, he's been playing, you know, in that challenge circuit for a while, trying to make things happen with his former team, Oxygen Supremacy. But watching his Odin gameplay, like that's always just so refreshing, because Odin's really a god that can be difficult to make work.
We have seen Odin thrive, like in this game. We've also seen Odin do terrible and feed his brains out. Odin is just one of those gods where if you can play him well, good things will happen. But no matter how well you play him, bad things can also happen.
I'd say it's usually mostly the latter part. And typically we see the Odin not really ever turn into anything huge. But, I mean, he came up huge for his team in game number 1, and then in game number 2, I mean, the man on the screen, the man of that game was Snoopy. Really, again, a pick that we're not accustomed to seeing, just coming up huge today.
You can never sleep on Apollo. Apollo's just one of those guys who, he comes in and out of the meta, but he's always going to have a place in the game. He can show up, he can carry games, and just do insane amounts of burst damage.
I think a really important part, too, was that the Apollo pick was really able to work. His laning phase can be a little bit rough, but the way that he worked alongside of Ionic just really made things flow incredibly well between these two guys. And I think that Snoopy kind of just reminded everybody that Apollo still exists and that, yes, he can actually carry a game.
Speaking of reminding people that we still exist, E-United and Luminosity, our next game of the day. E-United reminded everybody that, hey, we're still a pro team. We're still good. We can still make an impact.
E-United kind of ruined everybody's FP today, I would say, more than anything else. I mean, people might have anticipated a split, but a clean 2-0 victory over Luminosity. It's clear that what's been happening in scrims finally translated into the real deal. And for them to pick up such a dominant victory, both in game number 1 and in game number 2, just shows that this team is really taking steps in the right direction to try and progress.
I mean, we looked at E-United, the first game with Polar Bear Mike, and it was a real good plug and play. There wasn't really anything going wrong in the game. And then the weeks after that, we saw the growing pains. We saw them having trouble to adapt with playing with each other. And now it really feels like they're starting to figure everything out. I mean, when you 2-0 Luminosity, you got to be doing something right.
I know that they've got to be feeling pretty good about that one, too, because that is definitely one of their more, I would say, difficult sets if I had to look at it from public perception. And having to coming up clutch in this kind of situation, I think was just massive for the team. And, of course, a large portion of their victory today, at least in game number 1, Panic Cat all the way. That Scotty, Midgardian male, got to have some fun.
What is that build? I mean, we've seen the weird builds come out of EU, but now NA's getting in on the action.
I mean, Scotty was never really a god that was horrible. A lot of people just kind of perceived, oh, she's no longer the 100% guarantee win factor in a 1v1 trade, then she must be horrible. But people kind of forget that her permafrost damage still exists, and the chaos that it can really bring in a team environment, it just showed so heavily in game number 1.
And then being able to go the defensive option because you got Fafnir there with the Coerce, giving you the extra damage. I mean, that pick was just, it synergized so well.
And then game number 2, of course, Veriziel popping off on the Circuit. Kind of just reminding everybody why Circuit is so favored right now. The damage was pretty nuts. He was completely all over Jeff Hinla and really just locking down Barracuda to make sure he couldn't try and carry.
Veriziel has been the paragon of what a jungler should be right now. He's been playing very well. He had his little issues here and there, but now it's all coming back together. Like I said, E-United is just playing very well. They're getting back to the level that they were before Pain left.
And of course, E-United still have a very long uphill battle. I mean, this was only the starting point for them, but they're not out of the danger zone just yet as far as Valencia is concerned. They still need to clutch out their remaining 2 sets because they basically needed to go 5-1 in their remaining games or 6-0. I mean, they have the 2-0 here, so now it's technically only like 4 games remaining, but it's still like the standings and everything like that are kind of just all over the place right now as far as NA is concerned because of Luminosity dropping the 2-0.
Exactly. Let's take a look at today's schedule and see how all the games kind of went and who won what. We've got, Obey Alliance Team Rival split. We've got Trifecta getting the 2 over Team AI, United getting that 2-0 over Luminosity, and then the split with NRG and Dignitas. And these results, I mean, like you said, for NA, it blows NA wide open.
splits in EU kind of make things still very interesting, but the clean 2-0s in NA, yeah, it really does make pretty much any possibility a possibility, and that's kind of like the more fun aspect of these things. I mean, in EU, we already know that Dignitas is qualified. There's still 3 spots remaining for Valencia for EU, and so right now, I'd say the heat is really on for Enix because Obey, Rival, and NRG all sitting at 9 points. Enix kind of needs to rely on these teams to drop games as well as Enix to secure 2-0s.
It's unreal how hotly contested those 4 spots, now 3 spots for Valencia, but going over to NA, it's just as contested, and it's just a cluster over there.
It's all over the place in NA. I mean, Luminosity dropping the 2-0 today, rip FP, as well as just rip any certainty of knowing who's going to be going to Valencia right now. I mean, 10-10-10-8. And you can't really forget about Noble. Noble have started really taking on this dark horse aspect, and United, I mean, when they boosted themselves up to the 7 points, that was so huge for them because now that puts them in contest with Allegiance and Monkey Madness and everybody else sitting up there at 10 points.
So looking forward to Saturday, our EU day. We're going to start off the day with Obey Alliance and Burrito Esports. Then we're going to go on to Team Dignitas and Team Rival. Then going into NRG and the Poppies, and ending the day, we're going to have Enix and Elevate. Those should be some good games. I don't know who to call for the. I mean, the Dig and Rival game should be really interesting. If Rival wants to get to Valencia, I think they got to at least find a split there. I
mean, I'm also really keeping an eye on that Enix and Elevate match. Elevate is certainly not a team to be left out by any means because, I mean, they've come up huge in the past. They can definitely play that spoiler card, more importantly, for Enix. So you guys have definitely got to keep your eyes peeled for what's going to be happening in EU on Saturday.
Do you think Elevate can be the spoiler for Enix right now?
I think that they certainly have the potential to do so. EU is very close in competition.
All right. I think that was a very professional, well put together answer from you, Taco.
Thank you. I do my best, you know, to try and be as unbiased as possible. I came in a little bit Dignitas, Luminosity, you know, former orgs.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for us on day number 1 of week 4. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to join us Saturday for more SPL action. Thanks, everybody.